All right, Deadman's Tone Podcast, your host, Mr. Deadman. Actually, I should say hosts, Mr. Deadman, Becky, and SK. How's it going, everybody?
Hey, you
Freezing.
made it to Wednesday, everybody.
Happy
Congratulations.
fucking Wednesday. And our guest tonight is the one and only Kay Atrape Jones.
That was pretty good.
You tell me I was close? I thought it was dead on that.
No.
No? Huh.
No.
That's
Oh,
weird.
you were close, yeah.
That's weird. I could have sworn it was there was that E at the end of it. But no, I guess that's my dyslexia. What can I tell you? I don't know.
It's that Cajun blood you have.
Yeah. That's what it is.
That's it.
Yeah. Oh, quick announcement, everybody. If we get 100 followers, not only are we going to give out a $50 Amazon gift card to one of the lucky followers, but my ass crack will be waxed live. Why do you want to see that? Don't worry, you're going to watch my reaction while someone waxes my ass, okay? But the more important thing, if you don't like that, is a $50 Amazon gift card. So let's do that. Let's reach 100 so we can get that motherfucker out. Okay. I think Becky has some news and we can roll right into the show. Becky, let's do this.
I hear about every third word you're saying, but okay.
Okay. Becky, read the ads.
Yeah. Okay. The first ad is from Robert Wright Jr. On October 31st, 2017, at 1 p.m., there were 7.6 billion people living on Earth. At 1:01 p.m., in a blinding flash, 9/10 of them died, or so we thought. For one survivor, the day changed everything. Follow Tanya's adventure as she lives in a ravaged world inhabited by mutants, undead, and aliens. Extinction Effect Undead Uprising is available in paperback and ebook at your favorite online retailers. Visit whichwaybooks.com today. And Hell Followed has been unleashed by newcomers Death's Head Press. This anthology brings seasoned veterans such as Wrath James White, Sisters of Slaughter, Jeff Strand, and Christine Morgan, together with newer authors like Wiley Young, Chris Miller, and Delphine Quinn, to paint a hellish and sometimes hilarious vision of what might happen if the Four Horsemen were turned loose on our unsuspecting world. 16 tales in all, themed around the book of Revelation. It would be a sin not to read this book. As Wrath James White so eloquently in the introduction says, no blasphemy has been left unblasphemed. Available now from Death's Head Press in Kindle and paperback on Amazon or at deathsheadpress.com. Are you ready for hell on earth? All the devils are here.
All right. I think I'm ready for hell on earth.
Yeah, but, where are they going to stay?
Only if it's warm.
I mean,
if it's warm.
Yeah, right? I mean, it's going to warm up the place. I'm getting tired of this cold weather. And, we gotta change up the pace, Get out of the mundane cycle of work every freaking day. Let's spice things up a little bit. Bring some hell on earth.
Oh, Lord.
Speaking hell on earth, before we go into the news real fast, you heard that Dick Miller died? Dick Miller, he passed away.
Yeah.
So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a beer for him. That's what I'm going to do. All right.
I think that would be a good idea.
I think that'd be good.
Yeah.
I think that'd be good. I'll do that.
Sorry.
All right. Let's roll into it. What's the first story? What we got here?
All right. The first story is man dated Cockroach called Lisa for a year and said she was hotter than any girl.
What?
Man, that's really not a nice thing to say about Lisa.
Well, what's really funny is in this picture, it's not a cockroach that he's holding.
No.
They look like locusts.
Like grasshoppers.
Yeah.
They're cicadas.
Cicadas, yeah. Maybe they think that's the cockroach in Japan. I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
Is it a stock photo?
I don't know.
Because, yeah.
I don't know
It's
what's
his
going
first love, this cockroach. He's 25 years old, called the bug his first love, and said through the relationship was platonic, he fantasized about betting her, either with himself, insect sized, or with Lisa being human sized.
What?
Either way, he ends up eating.
Yeah, totally.
And the problem with that would be...
I don't understand how this guy can do this.
I mean, problem solved.
How in the world, in a country that is like, come on, that's like pervert haven. It's Japan, okay? You have hentai, tentacle porn. You have virtual dating doll things. Not that I know about this stuff, okay? But they have everything.
Uh-huh.
But you want to date a cockroach? This guy has to be trolling, right?
Oh, wait a minute. It gets even better.
Oh.
Yeah.
Do
He
tell.
bought her as an African farm-reared cockroach, and that he believed they could communicate with each other. He also, once she died, ate her, but he did it with reverence.
Yeah, because that makes all the difference.
He ate the cockroach?
Yeah.
Wow. So Japan has a little problem going on.
A
right
little?
now. Yeah. And the problem is that like half of all the young single men aged like, I don't know, 20 to 40 just stay in their rooms all the time. They don't go out at all.
Mm-hmm.
They don't socialize at all.
They have no desire. They have no desire to even fuck. They have no desire to date or any of that. And it's so bizarre, but there's a lot of explanations for why. I mean, there's a lot of, like I said, like they have trends over there that we don't really have here necessarily. Like the virtual dating girlfriends, they're a thing over there. More, I mean, that's not the one answer, but that's part of it. And they just stay inside, play video games, and
Yep.
A virtual dating girlfriend.
Yeah, a virtual girlfriend. I mean, you might get more happiness from that. You might get more of a. You don't have to worry about the nagging. Think about that.
Oh wow!
Because the virtual girlfriend's not going to tell you. Oh, is it? Is it going to shame you? Is it going to embarrass?
Well, depends. Do you like that sort of thing?
I know, right? Is there a setting? Huh.
I mean, what is this virtual girlfriend? I don't know anything about it. It's just a online thing, or is this somebody you hire to go out with you?
No, it's like it's an online thing. It also apparently they have holograms. I don't know how fledged this is. You know, I don't know if the technology is all there, but they have holograms and they have VR and things like that. Just for simulating dating life and being in a relationship.
Wow.
With a with an anime girlfriend. It's so weird. I mean, Japan has all sorts of weird stuff. I mean, you could buy panties at
Yes.
vending machines.
Yeah,
you
used
can buy
ones.
You can buy what in vending machines?
used
panties.
panties. Used panties.
Why?
Because it's a thing.
Because it's Japan, and
You can buy used panties in a vending machine in Japan.
yeah,
Yes.
yes. You can also buy beer in vending
That-
machines, which is great. I don't know why they don't have that here in America. I mean, might as well.
Because kids could get it. That's the answer to everything.
That's the answer. But if you've ever been to a convenience store, they have beer like right there by the door on ice, ready to go. Don't drink and drive, but here's a tall boy for the what, road? I mean, come on. It's so weird.
I know.
It's so weird. It's goofy. Jones, what do you think? Be quiet over there.
Well, you know what I was thinking is this is the type of news that I want to see when I turn on my television. I don't care about politics and all that. You know what I mean? I want to see about this cockroach, and I want him to interview the guy. You know, what I'm thinking is, why Lisa? Why the name Lisa?
You're
You
right.
know, did he go through a couple of names? You know, do you got to watch where he steps? You know, does she have like a little cage? You know, I don't know. I need more information.
And
Now, see, I could see this making a good story.
it could. And you know
And
what?
then he cannibalizes her at the end.
And Jones raises a good point. Oh, sorry, go
and
ahead.
if he gets in an argument with her, what do you just step on her? I mean,
Wow.
Shut up! Boom.
you go get a can. You go get a can of Raid. I mean, what do you know?
Well, I guess I'm gonna have to get a new Lisa. I'm gonna have to get a new bug.
Maybe he was a
Lisa
Simpsons
too.
fan.
Oh, my Lord.
It's like, and is that Lisa committed? I mean, is Lisa seeing another roach on the side? Does Lisa have babies?
Yeah.
What's going on?
No, he's a control freak, man. He keeps her, boxed up all the time.
Like in his basement in a cage.
Right.
Not good, man. Not good.
Full sicko. Right?
You don't know anything about that, right, Jesse?
No, I don't know anything about keeping bugs in cages. Hell, I just keep midgets. I mean, my attorney has told me that I should stop talking about the midgets in cages. It's the FBI.
Wait a minute. SK told me that it wasn't midgets anymore.
Oh,
Now it was pygmy goats and llamas.
well, I also can't comment on that. So, yeah.
Cannot confirm or deny.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And then another
Totally.
thing,
Okay.
you know, if there's a little bitty roach running around, you know, is Lisa cheating on him, or you know what I mean? So,
Ooh, yeah.
you know, what do you do?
And does he have to?
I want to know how he's going to take care of all the babies, because don't they have like 10 gazillion babies at once?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know.
It gives
that's
a
lot of
whole new
child
meaning to
support.
being a dad.
This is the precursor to a new monster movie where he enlarges, has some enlargement ray and turns her into life's human size, and then it goes around and eats the whole city.
You know what? That might already be a thing in Japan. That already might be a hentai.
It might be.
Oh my gosh.
I'm gonna look for it. Let's see if I can find it for research. Oh my god.
K-Trap's next book is going to be Lisa, the man-eating roach.
The diary of her.
Yeah.
I could see that. That would be up K-Trap's alley right there.
Yeah.
I noticed
You
the
know,
cover
I
of.
bet I bet Lisa beats his ass too, and just.
Oh yeah.
She owns that place, man.
Oh yeah. I bet so.
Cockroaches have attitude.
Yeah. Her and
I
her
bet
are
she's
babies.
one of those hissing ones.
That bitch.
Are you ready for the next one?
Yeah. What's the next one?
Would-be bank robber rips up note after getting cold feet.
I mean, why?
And also, Yay
And also what?
for him. Good for him.
Wait, did he rip it up in the bank?
Yeah. Did
yeah.
he rob the bank already?
Well, it was in Massachusetts.
Okay.
Police are looking for a woman, they say, intended to rob a bank, but got cold feet and left without a penny.
So what do
The
you mean
woman
attempted?
hesitated. Well, the woman went in and told the
Okay.
teller, "Give me a minute," went to the counter and wrote on a piece of paper. But she ripped up the note, dropped the pieces in the trash, and walked out.
Okay. So she
Bank
didn't.
employees pieced the note together, and it said, "Give me the money."
Huh.
So she didn't actually do anything wrong.
She was thinking about it, but she
Thinking
didn't.
about it,
Well,
she came
do
really
it.
close
Right.
to it.
Yeah.
Right.
She didn't do it.
Yeah. Huh. Had she already robbed the bank, I would have been like, well, you might as well just go as far as you can with it and enjoy the ride, enjoy the rush of running away from the police because you're going to get fucked over. But I guess, you do wrong, you do the time. But she didn't even take the money. She didn't even ask for the money.
Right.
Huh. Now, is that good though? I mean, is that kosher?
Well, obviously not if they're looking for her.
Is it against the law to write a note on a piece of paper and then tear it up?
Got to think about this in perspective of a woman in a relationship. Would she be happy if she found a torn up note that said it had another number on it and like a lipstick?
So her and the FBI aren't in a relationship. Yet.
The bank is like, well, it could have been a robbery, but it just didn't happen yet. So let's put her behind bars. She doesn't try to think about robbing again.
Oh, see, it's like it's one of those thought crime things again.
Right.
Kind
So
of like
go ahead.
what we were talking about was Gil.
Yeah. It's very interesting.
I think that she's stuck in high school, and she gave the note, and it says, "Will you give me the money? Check yes or no." And it was the option of the teller to choose which one to give her. And the teller said no, and then she just walked out.
We're not friends anymore.
Yeah, we're not friends. Choose a teller.
She gave him the finger and left.
That would be funny.
That's good.
Do you want to hear about an interesting female bank robber from Seattle?
Yeah.
Sure.
Female bank robber in the 70s. This was in the papers. Robbed several banks and was never caught because she would go in and go up to a male teller, and she wore a see-through blouse and no mask, and nobody could describe her face.
Well,
It's a true story. They called her the see-through bandit, and she robbed like 5 banks. Never caught.
makes sense.
That is funny. So if I want to get away with something just for a see-through blouse, is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah, I guess so.
And you both went, well.
Well, officer, I could
Okay.
describe her breasts very well. Don't ask how I know this, but you're looking for someone who's kind of like a D cup,
A 34D.
Yeah. 34D. One's
Turkey.
pierced. One's pierced.
One's pierced. Perky.
She didn't get both pierced for some reason. Only one. I don't know why.
Maybe after the holdup.
Probably because after the first one, it hurt.
That's good. Man, I don't know. What does Chet think? Is she guilty? Should she do time for a crime she didn't commit but was going to commit? I mean, we all think about killing our boss, right? But I mean, I mean,
Your lawyer's against talking about
I'm sorry.
pygmy goats, but not about.
I'm buying your lawyer one of those little
Society.
baseball bats.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
So he can just reach over and go bonk on the top of your head.
Well, before I incriminate myself, let's move on to the next story.
Oh, Lord. Woman reveals her boyfriend is a plane she met at the
Shut up.
airport 5 years ago.
Shut up. What? Repeat that again? I'm sorry. I'm not the only one, right?
Woman reveals her boyfriend is a plane she met at the airport 5 years ago.
Hey, Jones, do you have any thoughts about this?
Is his name Southwest?
Alaska.
Alaskan Airlines?
He's a 737-800 Boeing.
Okay.
So fairly
He
new.
went for the big boy, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Size matters for her.
And his name is Schatz.
Shots.
Schatz. Mm-hmm. She was first attracted to his wings, winglets, and thrusters.
Oh, yeah, she likes the thrusters.
Most women do like the thrusters.
Yeah. Good thrusters.
She's 29 years old and claims to sleeping with her darling every night, either with real components or a 1.6 meter model.
Wait,
What the
okay. I was about to say, is this a real plane or is this like something you get at a like a model plane in the gift stores and stuff?
The hell?
No, this is a real plane she's in love with, but she has a model plane that she sleeps with because she can't sleep with the real one.
Oh boy.
Well, that plane, he gets around.
Yeah. All around. Everybody goes inside them. They stay around for a while. Yeah.
He gets high all the time.
Yeah.
So I would imagine she has a landing strip. I would imagine, right? Thank you. My name's Kate Jones. I'm out here. No,
Drop the mic on that one. That was good.
That was great.
You owned it. Man.
That was perfect.
How am I supposed to add to that?
I don't know.
That was good.
Good night, everybody.
We'll see y'all on Friday.
But apparently this is a thing, right? So is she real?
Yeah, it is.
No, man.
It is a thing. It's a form of sexuality focused on inanimate objects.
What?
And some people seem to think that they have a soul or intelligence and feeling.
Okay.
There's a lady. Oh, it gets better. There's a lady that married the Eiffel Tower.
That's
Legally?
possible? Yeah, legally? You could do that?
Well, that's what it says. And her love object helped her become a world champion archer.
I'm missing something.
What's the link to that?
Yeah.
Her name is Erica Eiffel.
Oh, she changed her name, her last name. Look at that. Look at that.
Uh-huh.
So traditional.
Yeah. She didn't no hyphenated name for her.
Well, my question is this. If his name is Eiffel Tower, shouldn't her last name be Tower?
Well, you're being complicated.
Well, it's Eiffel's Tower.
Oh.
Okay. There's also a lady that's in love with the Statue of Liberty.
So her last name is Liberty?
You know what? She's kind of a looker, isn't she?
That's one big bitch.
You got a few beers in you, yeah. She starts looking pretty good. And be like, hey, how many shots do I need to take before she takes her clothes off? Come on. I can just see it. Oh, it's not ever happening. Never happening.
No.
No?
Mm-mm.
No?
No.
Man.
No.
But So
There's another one that's in love with the short marble statue of Adonis.
I can see
and,
that.
and she named it Hans.
of course she did.
I'm gonna have a love affair with my heater.
She renamed Adonis Hans.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
so he was a kind of a German Greek.
I don't get it.
I don't know. German Greek.
Says Quasimodo loves.
I think I'm starting to
loves
understand
Belle.
why all these Japanese guys are just staying home.
Yeah, and dating cockroaches. I mean, you might as well.
Yeah, because their crazy ass women are marrying Eiffel Towers.
Yeah.
that
And
seems
ghosts.
like too much work.
Yeah, way too
Yeah.
much work.
Well,
And-
there's some guy that was emotionally and sexually attracted to his car.
well, that happens. I think just about every guy is like emotionally invested in his car, right? Right?
Yeah, they even
Sexually?
name them. I mean,
Well,
Whoa.
okay. First of all, I can understand being loving your car. There's cars that I love, but not like that.
yeah.
This guy had an affair, and I do mean affair with his car.
Oh,
Like
so
up the exhaust
did
pipe?
the cart? Damn it! I couldn't get it out fast.
Beat you to it.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah.
The car
Yes,
like did a
Jesse.
tailpipe.
Those pipes
Yes,
are like rusty
Jesse.
and stuff.
Well, you know, I can't explain. I don't have the intimate details of the relationship, but that is what it said.
He
Wow.
liked getting in her with the top down.
There you go.
No, it involves a muffler.
Ah. Of course. Always the muffler. All right.
And a
There's a guy that was attracted to his jet skis too, and bicycles, and one that wanted permission to marry his computer.
Why get permission? I mean, these ladies are just doing it somehow. I don't know how they do it. I don't know what priest does that wedding, but they get it done, I guess.
Church
It
of
was the
Cthulhu.
see-through blouse.
Church of
It was
Cthulhu.
the see. It was the see-through blouse. Oh my lord!
All right. Now that we've become more acquainted, K-Trap Jones, let's talk about you and what you do. All right. So, for those who don't know who you are, which I don't know who that would be, but for those who don't know who you are you and what do you do?
I am a horror writer. I know that a lot of people say that, but I'm a horror writer. I've written about 8 novels, about 90 short stories that are all published all throughout everywhere. I also started the Splatter Club, which is an online group for extreme horror fans, writers, musicians, artists, just anything in the genre. That pretty much sums up, who I am, really,
Yeah.
without going into big detail.
Okay. Well, I mean, how long have you been writing?
I've been writing for about 12 years, and I know when a lot of writers say their backstory, they've always wanted to be a writer and so forth. I never wanted to be a writer, and I fell into this about 12 years ago. I just went into like a depression, and it was internal. There was nothing external that was happening to me, just internal depression. And I jotted down notes and almost like a journal to kind of help me out of it. And I ended up writing it as a character, and just wrote 2 novels worth, and never intended them to be published or be seen by anybody. It was just more of a a release for me to kind of help me. And one of my friends read it, and they're like, "Hey, why don't you submit it to this contest?" And so I joined this Florida writers group, and I was like, it was an award. They had something called the Royal Palm Literary Award they do every year. And, they strip the names, and it's all unpublished work, and so no one knows who wrote it. So I just submitted it, didn't even edit it, and didn't even want to read through it again. And I submitted it and ended up winning. So then I started going, well, maybe someone else wouldn't read this stuff and all that. So it just kind of started from there. And like I said, I wrote 2 novels back to back with no dream of getting them published. Didn't even write short stories. And it was just crazy how it happened. It was really ass backwards how I kind of fell into this.
So yeah, that's interesting. So you didn't.
Well,
want to
I'm
be a
glad
writer.
you did.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you lucked into it in a way. I don't know about luck was the right word, but it's not something you wanted to do from the beginning. But it just kind of fell into place, and you took an opportunity.
And it's like I said, I didn't really want to do it, and I didn't tell people in my real life I write. This is something that is a hobby, and I'm able to kind of almost like an alter ego world. No one at my work knows I write. People I meet in real life don't know I write, and I mean just for close family and so forth. But I enjoy it. It's a hobby, and I think that's what keeps me, just writing it because I just enjoy it. And, hopefully, people enjoy it.
Oh, okay. Hey, Becky.
Yes, sir.
I think your mic is picking up like you're crackling and things. I don't know.
Your bag of chips.
Your bag of chips or something. You got going on there.
I don't hear anything.
Bag of chips or cockroaches.
I heard it.
Yeah.
Still?
No, not now. Not now. You put it away.
Just a second ago.
Yeah.
No, I didn't. I wasn't doing anything. I was sitting here
Your
listening.
Snickers bar.
Uh-huh.
Oh, my Lord. Yeah, right.
All right.
I heard it, dude. Yes.
Yeah,
I heard it too.
I was only saying it because he's kind of low, and there's not really much I can do about it. It's like his phone, but that's okay. All right, but I have to ask, what did you want to do? So writing was not the thing you really wanted to do, but I mean, was there another hobby or career path you want to take? Is writing a career path for you, or is it just? You said it's just a hobby, right?
Yeah, well, no, it's a hobby. I mean, it's I got my real time work and all that stuff, and like I said, it's just a release. I enjoy creating characters. I enjoy pushing the envelope and doing stuff completely different than what other people are doing, and so that's what kind of drives me. So I really, now I really enjoy writing, and yes, if I find a major contract, I certainly would, and I would quit my job and just write all day,
Mm-hmm.
But I think, what helps me get through all the publishing and all this other stuff, and maybe I take some time off from writing or whatever, is me viewing it as a hobby. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
okay.
It just kind of keeps me grounded, I guess, and so forth.
Well, I mean, for a hobby, you're doing pretty well for yourself.
Yeah, how many books do you have out?
I have 8 novels. I'm working on my 9th one now, and then once I learned about short stories, which was after my second. I published my first 2 novels first. That was my 2 writing credits, and then that was about 12 years ago. And then I fell into short stories, or someone asked me if I wanted to write for their anthology. I was like, "Oh, wait a minute, you can get paid for writing short stories?" I was like, "Yeah." So then I spent like 2-3 years just churning them out. I mean, I could sit and write a story in one day, and then edit it the next day, and then send it off, and then so I have about 85 floating around various anthologies and whatnot.
Okay.
Yeah.
85.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
and I don't, and they're all contracted. I got a lot of friends who self-publish, and I wish them all well. It's just something I never, really, I don't think I'm capable of doing all the parts and pieces of it, so I don't even try. So I enjoy the submission calls, the invitations, and I enjoy all that, and it's a challenge for me. Um, I view it as a challenge to
Yeah.
write these short stories and so forth.
Man, you have a lot of content out there. Holy hell.
Yeah.
Yep.
Are you looking on
Yeah, that's
Amazon? It's like
Mhm.
page 13 or something like that. But a
Yep.
lot of this stuff is probably out of date or out of print, I would imagine too.
Mm.
But I've slowed down now in the past couple of years. Last year alone, I didn't write anything because I was building out the Splatter Club, and that took up my free time. But I'm starting to get back into it this year, and I got a couple of invites and deadlines, and that I got to meet, and I really want to get back into writing a longer piece because I haven't done that in about a year. So I got a couple novels that I want to focus on this year.
Okay. So,
Where do you come up with your ideas?
good question.
What's funny is if you read my stuff, it's everything I write is in first person. And so I can't write. I tried to write a story. Someone wanted me to write a story in third person, he said, she said. I couldn't do it. I just can't.
interesting.
I can't. It sucks so bad. I probably got it somewhere. It sucks so bad I just put it away. But so everything I write is in a narration. So what I do is I'll think about a character, and I enjoy becoming that character, as I'm writing, and then and so forth. So the narration is like, I can really get behind the emotions of this narrator. And in my earlier works, I would do a lot of twists and turns because I can make the reader feel empathy for a narrator, but then he turns out to be a bad person, So it's one of those things where I always say this, like, you can describe like an axe, swinging and going into somebody, right? But what I'm interested in is the guy who's swinging the axe. What is he thinking before he swings it? What is he thinking after it happens? And if you're doing narration, you can really dive deep into that and say, have the guy say, "Oh my God, what have I done?" That's the kind of stuff that I'm interested in. So that's why I always like to watch like the serial killer, documentaries of going, what makes this guy do this and so forth. I like to get a little bit deeper than just saying, "Oh, he killed somebody," and you move on.
Well, yeah, that's the juicy detail. That's what
Yeah,
I think a lot of people like that.
yeah. And then mostly what I do is I come up with a character and I throw them in a situation that they are not used to, and then it's just fun to write. I don't when I write, I just I don't I write for a story that I would want to read. I don't think about anybody reviewing it or anybody critiquing it. I just write, and where it goes, and then I rarely change stuff. So I'll write right through, and then I'll read a pass through, fix edits, typos, and whatnot, and then normally I'm happy with it.
That's amazing. And it's funny because you said that you write in first person. The short stories that I've written, I do the same.
Yeah,
I cannot do it any other way.
I can't do it. And I read interviews with other people that I look up to, and their thing is if someone else can write your book better than you, then you shouldn't do it. So you want to write what you like and write for yourself. My first, I sent my first novel because I was like, oh, I'll see if anybody wants to read it, right? So I sent it out to his publisher, and he came back and he told me, he goes, no one reads narrative stories anymore. He was like, you'll never, this will never get published or whatever. And it stuck with me. I actually printed it out and put it on my wall because, here I am 12 years later with all these stories that I've written, and they're all narration. So I'm like,
That's funny.
But if I listened to that guy,
Right.
I probably would have given up and whatever. So I look at that printed out on my wall. If someone comes to me with asking me stuff, I look at I always keep that letter of mine going. How you affect people is,
You should email that guy and send him your Amazon list.
No, he's no longer in public. He's no longer a publisher anymore.
Probably for a reason. Well,
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say.
And on this topic here, talk about the guy. Maybe he's going to eat some sour grapes. Really, you have to eat crow on this because. So not only do you have a lot of content out there, a lot of stories, but I don't know how detailed you're willing to go. But is your writing hobby? Is it helping? Is it rewarding financially?
It's one of those things. I'm still, I'm not like. Like an Edward Lee or any of those guys or Brian Keene or something like, you know what I mean? Those guys, they make a living at this. I certainly do not make a living. I got 3 kids, and it's nice to get a little royalties here and there, but it's not a glamorous, it's like any job or hobby in the creative arts. You just don't, you do it until you get that big contract or something like that. You know what I'm saying? But those big contracts nowadays, they're not really around, So especially for someone who writes extreme horror and so forth. So it's more so, hey, is Netflix going to pick up something? I mean, that's where you get the stuff now. But and that's why I look at it as a hobby. I have my work that pays for my living. And the hobby is just something that it's almost like building something and selling it at a flea market, on the weekends. You're going to get some money in return, and then you just turn that around and put it right back into your hobby.
Now, if someone's new to your work, which book should they start with and why?
Well, I got a funny story about that because there was I just started writing extreme horror probably about 8 years ago. My first 2 novels, which are The Sinner and The Harvester, they're very quiet horror, very depressive horror. So it depends on what people like. And then what happened is I started writing extreme horror at the Drunken Exorcist. That was the first time that I had a goal in mind to write for Necro Publications, which is they publish all of Edward Lee's stuff. Excuse me. And so as a young writer, that was my goal. I was like, you know what? One day I'm going to write for them. So I wrote a novella, The Drunken Exorcist, and just put everything out there. I didn't censor myself. I didn't care if my mom read it. I mean, I just didn't care, so I just wrote it, and it was funny, and I kept going with it. And I submitted it, and he said, hey, this is good. Let's do this. And so, and again, I'm a big fan of Edward Lee. So I was like, oh my God, I'm writing for, Edward Lee's publisher. And, Necro Publications is a great thing. So then I wrote another one, which is The Charm Hunter, which is, it just takes the Drunken Exorcist and just puts it out there on crack. I mean, this book is just absolutely, reviewers were calling me batshit crazy, So I have a bounty hunter who is Lady Luck she lost her lucky charms and he has to go get it, in these crazy ass worlds. And Edward Lee ended up doing a blurb on the back of it.
Huh. That's cool.
So,
Wow.
So then, it all happened so fast, and I was like, okay, cool. And then I wrote the Big Bad, and so I want to keep challenging myself because each one of these characters outdoes the other one, and so this next book I have to outdo three others that I absolutely love. But I would say if someone was starting out, I would say The Drunken Exorcist is a good. It's a novella, so it's a quick read. Each chapter is like its own little short story, but they all connect. And then you go on to The Charm Hunter, and then The Big Bad, which is absolutely. I don't know what I was thinking when I wrote that, but it was all these. It was all the Saturday morning cartoons that I used to wake up and watch, and I was like, you know what? I want to write a cartoon that's a very adult. So.
Well, these titles are the ones that drew my eyes. Like new to your work, I was like, okay, Han. I looked at The Drunken Exorcist. I was reading some of that today. Man, that is a great read. Okay.
Yeah.
Just that, I'll ask you about that character and all that stuff. But then you have Charm Hunter, which I haven't read yet.
Sure.
I need to look into that.
Yep.
And then I also noticed the cover of The Big Bad. It's like, man, I gotta look at that. Tripped out.
And that's all Necro Publications. Dave Barnett is just an absolute wonder of a publisher, and he's been doing it since like 1996 or something like that. And his covers. And his designs of all of his covers are just like outstanding. And he puts out like limited hardcovers and stuff like that. And he's just got a great eye for the talent. Yeah, and
he does. These
so
covers are
I've been
not
working
bad.
with him, and then because I write so differently in narrative, I got an invite to this anthology he was putting out called Into Pain Freak. Which was that I don't know if I'll be able to top right now. I don't top that because you get in these anthologies and you're around these big time writers and you're like, oh, look at the cover and stuff like that, and you see like Rast and Edward Lee and Ryan Hardin and all those guys in there, but some of the stories are like reprints. So this one was like, he told me up front, he goes, hey, I want to invite you to this anthology, and everyone's going to have new stuff. And I go, wait a minute. I go, oh my God. So I'm writing alongside these guys that I look up to. And that was a lot of pressure. And I was like, oh my God, it's going to be good.
Yeah.
So, that was a moment that I was like, okay, I don't know if I'll be able to top this, anytime soon. So that was cool.
Okay.
Edward Lee is one of my favorites as well. I love him. He is absolutely amazing.
I got an opportunity to meet him at I live in Tampa, and he lives about 10 minutes away from me. And my publisher, David, he was he lives in Orlando. Well, he came over. And he goes, hey, called me over. He's like, hey, we're going over to a party, a private party. Why don't you come over? And I said, well, who's going to be there? And he said, oh, it's for Brian Keene. And I go, wait, what? So I'm like, huh? So it was Keene. So I walk in, I'm obviously a new writer compared to all of them, but I walk in and it's Edward Lee, Brian Keene, Jeff Strand. Wow. And it was for the Camelot. It was for the Camelot books, who do all the hardcover books for entire. Yeah, so they live here, and so I spent the whole day, and I was just like eating it all up. And then every time I go to a convention, I like to sit with Lee and just kind of pick his brain because I think he's just a wealth of knowledge about the industry and whatnot.
What is your favorite book he's written?
I have to go back to the header. I think when I first read that, I went, how was he able to one, write this and put it in print.
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
So that had an effect. After that, I like his white trash gothic, and I like
Yes.
the Infernal City series ones
Oh,
where he
yes,
describes
my
hell.
favorites
Those
too.
are ones too.
Header
But
is my
you know,
favorite. I used to tease
Yeah.
him all the time and tell him I finally found a first edition print of that, and
Yeah.
it's signed, and I got it, and I was so
Ooh,
thrilled.
wow.
So he was tickled
Yeah.
about that.
That's pretty cool.
But what's funny is, you know, he's just the nicest guy too. I mean,
He is
he'll
down
do
to
anything
earth.
for you. Yeah. But
So-
I always
Wonderful.
tease him. I always tease him. I'm gonna stalk him because he lives like no lie, like 10 minutes away from me. So I go, I'm gonna find where you live. Every time I'm at a convention, I go, I'm gonna find you where you live. But then again, he would probably do crazy ass murderous things to me. So I don't want to be too close.
You will be the subject of the next book.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh man. So tell us about Drunken Exorcist, and how do you come up with that
Yeah.
idea?
Well, the Drunken Exorcist, you know, I'm a product of the 80s. So, you know, a lot of the horror movies I grew up with are like the slashers, and obviously the Exorcist was the creme of de la creme, you know, of
Right.
and it gave me nightmares as a little kid. And we just got done watching, I think the I forgot what movie it was. It was maybe The Conjuring or something like that. And I just thought that, you know, exorcisms, you know, whenever you think of an exorcism, you think of a priest, and he's normally like just a regular guy,
Yeah.
and he just goes in there, you know, he takes a beating sometimes, and he's just like, you know what, I'm just going to believe in religion and do it. But then I thought, wouldn't it be funny if when traditional exorcisms don't work, like who do you call to like take on the crap work, you know, like, you know, and it started off with who cleans up these rooms, you know, after you know, a head explodes or something like that. So I almost made it as a cleaning crew, you know, and what their stories would be. But then I was like, okay, maybe if I take and it was funny. It was like, you know, his name was Father Schnitt.
Yeah.
So it was like, you think you know exorcisms, you don't know Schnitt. So I played on
I like
that, and then I started going, you know what? He needs something different. You know, I can have him go in there with a shotgun and all this stuff, but you know, his goal is to extract these demons. You know, hey, let's put it in a liquor bottle. And I was like, okay. So I went with that, and then it started to be, you know, he would drink because the demons don't like whiskey. I mean, it was the craziest idea. So I think where is when he wiped it, he put whiskey on his thumb and shoved it up his ass because the demons would go in the orifices and stuff. So then, I mean, I just had a blast with that one. I just had a blast. So.
Wow.
And here's the thing, you know, it's like when the first scene of the book is, you know, they're creeping up the stairs and he's being trained and stuff, and the old priest is like, we gotta take this slow, and then his Father Shin's like, fuck
Yeah,
that,
he's like, fuck that.
knock his ass out.
Yeah. That's how I knew I was in for a ride.
Yeah, his attitude just took over from there, and he was a great personality to write. And I'm actually thinking about doing a second book of that, because at the end, I'm not going to give anything away if someone hasn't read it, but at the end, you don't know what happens to him. And so I have an idea of an outline of, you know, where he is and how he needs to get back. So we'll see if it plays out.
Do it. Yes.
Yeah. I gotta get off my ass and write.
Yeah.
Which brings
I will
up
get a sharp stick and poke you.
kind of brings me to my question, which was,
Uh-oh.
can you talk about the early days? So you scribbled out these stories that you didn't expect to be anything, and then they turned out to be a little bit of something. you got an award for it. And then
Mm-hmm.
how did that? What happened next? And how did you react to that? And how did you turn these kind of, they sound to me like you're like venting these stories out as a therapy. And how did you transform from that into, publishing all these books?
Well, it's a weird thing because,
Well, I hope so.
Yeah. So imagine it. I was unpublished, okay, and back in 2000, I think it's 2008. I was unpublished. I had 2 printed out novels. One I won an award for. I still wasn't published at this point. Right? No one knew who the hell I was. So I'm sitting there at my desk, and I got these, I got printed out novels, double space, all that crap, and I'm going, well, what the hell do I do with it? I could have, worked on this. The first 2 novels were supposed to be a trilogy, but I never did the third one. I'll tell you why. But so then I started going, oh my God, I won an award. I can get published. I knew nothing about the social media of writers, how many writers there were on there. A big shock for me was when I started to get into that crowd and learning how many people actually are writers. And that was a big shock because I thought that, hey, I wrote a book. This is awesome. I can retire. No. And so, I submitted it. It got rejected. I don't even know how many times. I mean, it was starting to become a game to see how many people I can get rejections from for my first book. And, and like I said, normally people start with short stories and they earn their name and they do that. I didn't know anything about this stuff.
Yeah.
So I just kept sending out a novel. And who the hell's going to do a novel from a new writer who, no one knows? So then I submitted it to Bloodbound Books and met Mark.
He's awesome.
I always butchered his last name. It was Cicerone or Cicerone. I always forget.
Cicerone.
And then Joe Spagnola, and they're from Bloodbound Books, and they run Bloodbound Books. Well, Mark contacted me back, and it was like, hey, this sounds interesting. Let's publish it. And I go, wait a minute, I just got rejected like 125 times in a row. And so he published it, and that got me into the Horror Writers Association back in the day, and the Stoker Awards. Well, it got caught up in the Stoker Awards and ended up on the preliminary ballot. And so then I go, geez, people really like this stuff.
Yeah.
But see, at that point, after those 2 books were written, I was no longer depressed. I told Mark, he asked about the 3rd book, a while ago, and I go, Mark, I was like, I don't think I can write like that anymore because now I'm just, I put a lot of dark humor in
I'm
my
too
book
happy.
Well, I wouldn't say happy, but I think I enjoy just like pushing the envelope between dark humor and extreme horror. And so then I started, he's the one who kind of got me on to doing short stories with DOA and so forth, and, writing alongside these other guys that I met. And then I just started, just writing short stories. And then every now and then I view short stories as like, almost like going to the gym or something and working out just to keep the muscles going, to prepare you for like the big race of doing a novel, so,
gotcha.
And then I would write novels in between. And, the novel I'm writing now is, they don't know this, but I'm going to talk to Mark about it for Bloodbound Books. And then I got another one I'm writing for Necro. But, it became fun, I think. And then that's what kept me going, is that it was just something fun to do when the kids are in bed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't write during the day. I come out in the garage. I got an old beat up chair, broken down light, and I just put my laptop on there and I write. And my writing doesn't affect anything of my daily life. You know, I got 3 boys who, you know, they're in all kinds of stuff, sports and stuff. So, you know, if I were to write during the day, I would just take away from them. So all I do is write at night when everyone's in bed.
That makes sense. That works
Cool.
out.
And
Kind
then,
of like this podcast thing. I do it at night. Everyone's
yeah.
Uh,
And then, like I said, if it takes off, it takes off. If it doesn't, you know, hey, I got something my kids can read when they're adults.
oh shit!
Not now when they're adults.
I don't
Do you
think
look
this is
forward to
anything-
that day when they start reading your stuff?
Yeah, I mean, my older son is in college, and you know, I haven't really asked him to read my stuff, but he knows of it, and he actually writes as well, which is cool. And so that, you know, if nothing else, I think me writing has pushed him into writing and whatnot. So, you know,
Does he
and
write
like I
horror
said,
too?
He likes sci-fi,
Ooh,
which is
okay.
something I can't write.
Yeah, it's hard.
Sci-fi, but yeah, so he likes that stuff, and you know, like I said, he's just playing around with it. But I think it's a good skill to have, to be able to construct a book from beginning to end. I every now and then it comes out that if I'm talking to somebody and they'll be like, "Oh, I'm a writer," you know, and you know, I don't like to talk about myself in the real world, but but they're like, you know, I haven't finished it, and I think, you know, to finish a book, whether it's published or not, I think it's a big accomplishment.
Do you have
I
copies
agree.
of your books around the house?
But no, you know, it's funny. You walk in my house, it has nothing. You won't even know. You know,
Whoa.
I have boxes of books. You know, I'm not one of those people who hang up stuff like covers and stuff. You know, I do have a dream of one time, you know, having an office and I'll print out stuff and hang it on the wall. But now you walk in my house, I have a bookshelf, but it's filled with all kinds of other books, like romance books that my wife reads and stuff like that.
Whoa,
Right,
whoa.
wife. Uh-huh.
So wait, are you
Yeah.
trying to keep a cover here? Are you? Is writing like? You sound like a serial killer almost. Like you're trying to keep it hidden. Like what?
No. I just don't like to. Well, here's the thing. You know, I don't like to pressure people into reading because I don't have a lot of friends in the real world who are into this thing. So I don't want them to go
into reading.
Oh, you read? Well, I'm gonna read it, and then they look at me like, what? The guy stuck his thumb up his ass with the what?
What the
So,
hell's wrong with you?
Right. Now, my family knows and stuff forth. But you know, if I'm out, you know, at a restaurant or something like that, I'm not saying, "Hey, I'm an author," you know, because I don't know. I just learned that from some of these authors I look up to, and they're just very humble, and I think that's a good way to go. And plus,
That's a good
it keeps
trait.
you out of trouble.
That is a very good trait right
It just
there.
keeps you out of trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Because you see trouble in the horror community all the time, and I mind my own business. I don't get into arguments and stuff. I just keep writing.
Me
so.
too.
Yeah.
Some people have inflated egos and are like, "Ooh, I'm an author."
Oh, I come across them all the time. Yeah.
Just for the record, you can be humble and still get in all kinds of shit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, I know that. Oh, I get in trouble all the time, and you know, they especially when you start something like the splatter club and stuff like that, and there's a lot of grief and stuff. So.
Yeah, I bet so.
It's an awesome group. I love it.
The Splatter Club. So yeah, tell us about that.
Awesome.
How did that start?
Well, I was in the Horror Writers Association for a couple of years, and you know, and this comes with a caveat. I have nothing against them. I have a lot of friends who are still in it, but it just wasn't for me. Writing extreme horror, I just didn't think that they had. You know, I don't know how to say it. It didn't seem like extreme horror. Not that it wasn't welcome, but just that it didn't have a showman in there.
It wasn't represented well, right?
Yeah, it wasn't. That's what I'm trying to say. So and there really wasn't anything else. And so I thought, you know, hey, why don't we why don't we come up with a club? And I'm good friends with Mark. I've known him for years, and he has such a networking with the publishing and editing side of this, and then I have the networking with writers. So I said, you know what? Let's create this, and let's create a club. First, a Facebook group. You know, at one point it was just me and him in there chatting away. We're like, we don't know if anyone's going to come in. But then, you know, we wanted to do it different. We wanted to have, you know, readers feel free to come in and interact with the writers, no matter what level of your success is, you know,
Right.
and interact and interview these people and have them do like Facebook Live and, you know, comments, and just have an interactive community of, you know, extreme horror type of bizarro type of thing. And so it just started from there, and we built the website, and then we started doing a book of the month, which never really, it started off as, let's get like-minded people together who like to read this kind of stuff, and then let's do a book of the month, you know, and have them discuss it, you know, and it kind of just went from there. And it's a living group. There's no, I mean, yeah, me and Mark started it, but we don't want any power or anything. We want a living community to where if people have ideas, they do it, they generate it, and so forth. You know, someone came up with the beta readers. One of the members came up with the beta reader. So then we were like, you know what? That doesn't exist. Let's do it. So on our website, we have a list of beta readers that you can go to if you write this kind of stuff, and you know, contact them, and they'll beta read your stuff. And so now we do movies, you know, movie of the month, and it's just like-minded people. And what was I going to say?
Last month they watched Monster, Matt Shaw's Monster.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and what's neat about it is, you know, we have we can, you know, contact Matt Shaw. We bring him in, and guess what he did, which was really cool. He comes in, so we create a event group within the Facebook group, and then you go over there and you talk about the movie for a week or something like that. But we invited Matt Shaw, who was the director and writer of the story, so he came over and interacted with everybody, and then he brought like 4 of the actors and actors and actresses into the group, and they were interacting with people. Now they're members of it, and so it's just a cool thing that, you know, it's just a different type of thing. It's hard to explain because it's kind of just lives and breathes, you know, each month.
Well, that's
It does,
pretty cool.
and it's a really cool. It's a really, really diverse and unique group, and I really enjoy it.
Yeah, you know, my goal is, I say my goal, me and Mark's goal is, you know, we want to bring in artists. You know, the people who make the covers for these things are outstanding. We want to bring in musicians. You know, we want to bring in all this that is not just writers talking to writers. You know, I want people who read the stuff to come in and discuss it. And so the goal is to, you know, keep going, and you know, eventually have some type of an award type of thing with it, and then if it really gets big, you can have almost like a convention type of thing. So, you know, that's ways down the road, but you know,
that would be
we're
so
pushing
cool.
towards it. Yeah. So we'll see how it
And
works.
go.
Yeah, I'm hoping people go. Not just me and Mark sitting in a hotel room.
No,
I'm sure that's a story in itself.
That's a different kind of convention.
No.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Ah, man.
Yeah.
So,
No.
I know you mentioned earlier that, you know, when you write your books, it's therapeutic because, you know, you're in a dark place when you do it. But what about the short stories? I mean, do you have to get a bout of darkness? I mean, do you have to be depressed to write the short stories?
No, you know, I used to. Whenever I, you know, like I said, there was a stint. You know, it was a little phase of my life where I wrote the 2 novels, and I wrote some short stories within those. You know, now I think I've grown up as a writer, and I was interviewing Everly and Ryan Hardin, and what came out was there's a line when you're a writer. There's a line that when you stop caring about what people think of what you're doing, that's when you become a great writer, because you don't have that shadow in the back of your mind going, ooh, maybe you shouldn't do that. I mean, I can't remember what story it was, but there was a story that pushed my limits, and I thought about it for days. I went, you know what, I shouldn't write this topic. Or actually, it was the big bad. I was like, I sat on it. It was chapter 2, and I sat on it, and I went, I shouldn't write this. Maybe this will upset, or I don't know, gross out people or whatever. And then I was like, fuck it, I'm doing it and writing it. And and it just felt good. And and it's I think there's, like I said, I think there's a line, and everyone has that one story. And even Everly, I forgot what story he said it was. It's in the interview, but he said, "Yep, this was my story. This was when I stopped giving a shit about people, what they think, because then you're really just spilling your guts, on the pages, whether it's funny, dark, or whatever. But you're not holding yourself back. And I think there's there was a short story in DOA 2, which was called Burn the Witches, where I just didn't give a shit, and I just wrote it, and that was my turning point.
Okay, whoa. Now I want to ask about Burn the Witches, but also about the big bad. So
yeah,
I'll let you decide which one you go into.
Well, there's two different things. The Burn the Witches was my favorite. Was my first step into extreme horror, splatterpunk. That was my first step. That was where I didn't give a shit. Okay, so I normally don't. That's all well and good. Butchering people, blah blah blah. That's a whole nother side.
Yeah.
Now the big bad, which was my latest novel. Chapter 2 deals with sex, and so I am not a very good sexual writer. I can write sexual humor and all that stuff, but I needed the big bad, and because it's cartoonish. I'll give you a little heads up. It's the big bad wolf, and that's what it's called. The big bad is the narrator. And he and Red, who is Red Riding Hood character, have a whole sexual encounter. And what happens is, something happens to Red. But see, I needed to build that character of how much he was into her by writing a chapter 2, which was them actually having sex. But if you think about it, what I'm writing is bestiality.
Yeah.
So, what I'm saying? So, yes, it's cartoon, but visually, I mean, are people thinking it's cartoon, or are they thinking it's a wolf character, whatever? So I had to write a whole sex scene, which was completely new to me. And I didn't know if I could do it well, and 2, if I really wanted to go there, because that was really pushing the envelope of what I was almost comfortable with. And so what I did I decided, I need this in the story. I need it to progress. That's how it's going to progress. And so I needed it. But what I did was I interjected my dark humor into it as I'm describing the stuff. And so that's what allowed me to get through it. And I think looking so back,
now I'm curious.
It's good.
Now I'm even more curious. Like, did he go like woof woof every time he thrusts? I mean, what's the humor? I gotta check this.
Oh
woof,
no! Woof. No, they completely have a complete sexual encounter, and everything from anything you can think of. If you replace the wolf with a man, and there's something with his snout. too. Was I'm
with the
not gonna go into-
snouts. Oh,
I'll
man.
let people read about that.
Oh, man.
Read the book,
It's-
Jesse. Read the book.
But I injected a lot of dark humor, and that's what made it comfortable for me to do that. Because there's a lot of people who are good at writing sex scenes, but I'm not one of them. But I think I don't know if I'll do that in detail that again. But it needed that for this book.
Well, that also sounds like just about okay. That concept of wolves, making love with women, like you see that on Amazon all over the place with the
Right.
alpha male, like the wolf man or whatever. They describe it, because they can't explicitly say, "Oh yeah, a wolf fuck this girl." Not on Amazon anyway, because they tend to ban that because that would be bestiality.
Right.
But if you say,
Right.
"Oh, it's a
werewolf.
then that's made up. You could do like Sasquatch or like Yeti.
Yeah.
Oh, I get that's actually Yetis
Yeah.
are. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. Huh. Now I really.
Oh, I did a
check
story
this
about
book out.
Bigfoot too. That was in that was in DOA 3.
Oh, okay. Does it have a sex scene?
It talks about him. What would Bigfoot's orgasm be like?
Oh, whoa. Okay. I need to check this one out too. I'm making a laundry list, dude. Like you're gonna see a spike in
I know,
sales.
it's crazy.
Jesse is now your number one newest fan.
Yeah,
Like I
drunken
said,
exercise.
and my mom is like my biggest fan, but she doesn't read anything. I'm very
Real.
happy for
That's
that.
my question here. Is what does your mom think about your work? I'm going to ask all
She's
my guests
excited
this from now.
about. Yeah, and that's a good question. She obviously supports me, and my dad. They think it's cool. My relatives think it's cool, but I don't want them to read it. I don't want the the crazy stares at like a family reunion, or if I go over their place for like Thanksgiving or something like that. It's uncomfortable. And I tell them, she has my books. I give her my books. She wants me to sign it to Mom and Dad. And she has all my books on a shelf in their guest room. And, but I don't expect them to read it. I don't, and even if she did, they wouldn't care. But, I think they're more just they like the updates of
They're
anything
proud.
that is new.
Yeah, they're proud of you.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
That's good.
so it's cool.
Yeah,
but,
they give you support. That's good to hear.
yeah.
So they're not grossed out by any of your stories or anything.
They haven't read any of them.
Oh, well, there you go.
now they follow me on Facebook and stuff like that, and they'll see stuff and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I saw that!" And I'm like, "Well,
Well, don't go there.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly."
Is K-Trap a pen name?
Yes, it's a pen name because my real name is very boring. It's just Kevin. So, I mean, it's a very common name, very boring name. And I went and Trap was a nickname when I was growing up. I lived in North Florida along Air Force Base, and we used to live in, or not live in the woods. My friends and I would always spend the days in the woods and building tree houses and stuff like that. And I would build traps around the, to see if it triggered any animals or whatever. So they just started calling me Trap. And so I was like, when I was thinking of a pen name, I was like, I can't just go Kevin. So I was boring as shit. So I stuck that in there. That's the only reason.
I like
so
it.
yeah, so people just call me Trap.
Trap. Hey,
I
Trap.
like
Yeah.
it.
I like that.
Very good.
So, okay, I know you told us, but tell me again, how long have you been writing?
What years? About 11 years. 11 years.
Wow.
Cool.
Yeah. I'm just starting
It
to do
amazes me that it
conventions
was-
and stuff.
It amazes me that it was just an a happy coincidence or an accidental coincidence or whatever, because you are definitely talented. Your writing
and you know
is
what's funny is I don't consider myself a extremely good writer. I think I have a knack with one, creating a narrator in a character, which I dwell in. I have so many narrators in my head, but none of them, take the cake, because I mean they gotta be able to withstand a whole book. I mean, if you think about it, someone picks up one of my books, they're reading, someone else's thoughts the entire time. So they have to be interesting. They have to, and that's where I feel like a common person, and you throw them into some crazy ass situation. That's where the interest is, how do they react to this stuff? And,
You're right. But you are a good writer.
I appreciate that. I do appreciate that, and it's just it's something I enjoy to do.
You kind of won an award right off the bat. That's
I know, right? That doesn't happen
and I almost
often.
I almost won the Splatterpunk Award, but Edward Lee stole it from me.
Oh,
Damn
son
it.
of a bitch.
I remember you saying that. I died
Oh,
laughing when I saw that. I was like, "Oh my god!"
I was like, "Don't leave your window open at your house. I'm gonna steal it from you." But and here's the thing. He went 30 years without winning an award. I mean, that's when you know that
it's insane.
There's something kind of I'm not gonna say wrong, but yeah, I mean, it's just the representation
Wrong.
of it's the representation of extreme horror, within the horror community, and that's what kind of has led to the Splatter Club. That's it's great that the Killer Con has come back, and they have the Splatterpunk Awards, which is awesome, and so
I cannot believe
it's a good
that
time
he has
to be
not
a Splatterpunk writer.
Right, and I cannot believe that he has not won a lot more awards than he has.
Crazy.
He is such a amazing writer.
Yep. Yeah.
We still have some time. We could dig into one of your other books as well, because you got a bunch of them.
Sure. Sure.
What's your favorite book that you've written?
I like the Charm Hunter. I do like the Drunken Exorcist, and right now I really like the Big Bad House, even though that was the latest one. But I do like those that said a lot. I have a fondness for the Sinner, which was the first book, and I grew up watching reading Dante's Inferno, and that was my favorite book growing up. And so when I wrote the Sinner, I was deciding how to format it. I was talking to Mark. I was like, "This is fucking crazy." I was like, "Let's format it like in verses." He goes, "What?"
That's what I noticed when I was reading it. I was like, I was reading. I was like,
do it.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, and so it's almost like journal entries of and so that was unique. That was cool. So I like them all. I really am my own worst critic before I even write the first sentence of a story. I think it through, major plot, twists and stuff until I can get to the ending. If I can't get to the ending, I don't write a single word. So once I nail down the ending, then I'm like, okay, this book's ready to be typed. And so that's what I do. And so I'll sit on a topic for weeks before it's even written.
Do you ever have an idea where even you go, "Oh shit, no way, I'm not doing that"? Something that's even just too wild for you.
I don't think there's anything too wild for me now after writing chapter 2 was a big bad, but there are times where I thought, hey, I can do this, but then I'm like, no, that would suck. I just don't think I could do it right. Maybe something with like zombies or something that's more of a trend a trend in the horror community. I just don't think I can do it. I think there's other better writers who can do it. So I don't even want to, even step on anyone's toes. So I just create crazy ass topics that no one's ever thought of, and then just roll with those.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing I like about this. So you don't sound like someone that just goes into the trends. Like, you don't sound like someone that writes to please the masses. You write what you want to write. Like turning the center into writing in verses. Who does that these days?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, no one. And
K-Trap and Mark.
Yeah. That's I had a fascination with the demons and the 7 deadly sins and all that stuff. I used to love all that stuff and research it and all that. And I honestly, I told myself I refuse to write anything that's already been done. And so, and sometimes that can have a negative effect, meaning, sometimes you can get writer's block of trying to come up with new ideas. And so, stuff like writing based on your 80s cartoon experience, or, a bounty hunter who has to get lost Lucky Charms. I mean, some of that shit is like I was smoking crack when I came up with it. But, it just comes to me, and I have a few floating in my head right now that I intend to write. I have about 3 narrators that I want to explore to see if they're worthy of, becoming a longer story, or do they just stay in the short story phase. I have a few short stories that I've written, and then I go, man, I love that character. Let's put him in somewhere else. So I try to link, my story somehow. The all my Necro books are linked together, and the Drunken Exorcist appears at the end of The Big Bad. The Charm Hunter appears at the end of Big Bad. The Charm Hunter was the character inside Into Pain Freak. It was is in the it's the same character in that one. So I try to make a universe within Necro, so that maybe one day I can do a crazy group of all of these characters. Maybe they can do something. I don't know, but I don't know.
That would be
fun.
too cool.
I enjoy it. Yeah, I mean, it could all suck. I don't care. I wouldn't even care if I got panned reviews. I wouldn't care. I would still write, I am creating these characters because I think that's where the fun is.
No,
and honestly, I hate, going over my own stories, and I'd rather read other people's stories.
What sort of feedback have you received from the Charm Hunter?
The Charm Hunter, everyone. It seems like I create these little side characters that a lot of people love, and so there's a bunny in there who's he's a because this bounty hunter, he goes to this interdimensional area, but it's all like it's almost like a Easter place, and so Easter bunnies are training, but it's like very demented. They're whipping cows with barbed wire to get them to do chocolate milk and stuff like that. And so this bunny is it has a chainsaw, and everyone really liked that. So they like the stories. I think they pick out certain characters and they really like them. Like in the Hell Follows, the one that was at the beginning of the podcast, I'm in there too. And there's a scene with a donkey, and so the first review they got, they were like, "That's the best donkey ever." So I think it's funny.
That's cool. Now I'm looking at the cover. I'm like, man, I want a poster of that. Just the cover alone looks great.
Sorry.
Yeah, those were done by Eric Wilson, who's he does a lot of the Necro covers, and that's hand drawn. And it was cool because he would send me the the sketches, and he'd be like, hey, he drew the guy without long hair, and he goes, help me to kind of dial in the characters. And I was like, well, I kind of imagined the lead character be kind of like a Rob Zombie type of, I don't give a shit what I look like type of guy. So then he came back with that guy, and I was like, oh, sweet.
And I take it that's Lady Luck next to him.
Yeah.
All right. I want a poster of that, just so I can put it behind me.
Yeah, I definitely, I'm old school, and I definitely think a book, you can judge a book by its cover. So, I like to try to work with people who, can do some cool covers and so forth.
I'll volunteer to make you any cover you want. We'll take a book.
Yeah, that'll work. I'm stepping into editing now, and so we're doing a Splatter Club anthology. So that's gonna be fun. I've never done that, but I'm looking forward to learning all the ins and outs of that stuff.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's fun putting an anthology together. I loved it. I love it. I'm trying to get Chris Miller to write for that.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. I like writing short stories. I'll never stop that. I think that's just I mean, if you and that's another skill as well. I mean, just to be able to do a beginning, a middle, and an end in 5,000 words is, a lot of these people make it look easy.
Well, we do have a monthly e-zine that I put together that, we would love to have a K-Trap story from.
Yeah.
There you go.
So,
I can talk to you
feel
about it.
free. So feel free
Absolutely.
to send me one.
Yep, that'd be great.
I'd love to have one.
That'd be great.
Oh, I got tons of them that are even out of print too.
Oh wow!
Cool.
Another thing, like you mentioned, you're working on so many things. What's one thing? What's your I guess next release if you want to plug it before we wrap up?
I got the that and Held Followed. I'm in there. I'm going to be in another anthology called Crash Code, which I don't even think they've announced a table of contents left. But that I think the editor on that one is Kevin Holton, and so that's going to be they'll be announcing that soon. Besides that, I'm currently working on some works in progress and so forth. Like I'm going to try to get to the Drunken Exorcist 2 by the end of the year, and then I'm working on something that's called Three Brothers Creek, which is a it was a short story, but I really like the characters, and so I'm bringing them back and making a full novella for that. So I'm hoping to get that done and out the door. And then, just writing some short stories here and there.
Cool.
That's cool.
Awesome.
Right. Well,
I can't wait.
We are kind of here at the end, but hey, K-Trap. Trap.
Yes.
Trape.
Yes.
K-Trap Jones. It's great. It's great having you on. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And man, you have so many books, so many short stories out there. Like I said, I feel bad not having read your stuff beforehand.
You should feel bad. No, I'm joking.
I should.
Yeah, damn it.
No, but the Drunken Exorcist, it grabbed my eye. That Charm Hunter and the Big Bad, and just so happened those are the three books we kind of stuck around on for a while. And none of this is pre-planned. We're pretty much going to show live, like no surprise there, huh? But there's something to that, and you're going to see a lot of purchases pretty soon. Either purchases or free to read. I don't know if it's on the Kindle Unlimited, but you'll see something. You'll see some spikes.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
All
I
right.
appreciate it. I appreciate the invite, and it was great talking to you guys. And if you ever need someone to fill in, just let me know.
All right, man.
We definitely will. I was going to say, please promise me you'll come back.
Oh, I will. Just let me know when.
Thank
Awesome.
you. Send us
All
something
right.
for the Ease on.
Bye.
All right, you take it easy. All
Bye.
right, later, everybody.
Night.
Bye.